Well, I'm back again with another keeper case. You're probably wondering, when's he going to run out of these things? Believe me, I still have a few more. And as promised from last week, I'm going to show you this case here. This is the one that was hiding behind a couple other cases. I wasn't even aware I had these. Once I saw them, I remembered them, of course, but there's some pretty cool ones in here. And I'm glad that I still have them all. And today we're going to have a bonus case besides this keeper case. Excuse me. So let's get started and take a look at some of these things. Here's a really nice blade here. Now, that's a pretty good sized blade. And I ground it heavily so it could be used almost like a dagger. But it could be possibly like a Ramey knife style. And this is a novaculite right here. This is a very dull, almost just a light brown novaculite. It really worked well. It flaked nicely, and as you see, I got it quite thin. And that was what I was focused on back then. This case is a little newer than the last one you saw. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of the variety of materials that I used here. Now, again, I got back into drills. Apparently I had some arrowheads going bad and I just wouldn't stop and kept chipping them until I got something like this. I'm not really sure where this flint or chert came from, but it looks like it worked pretty well. When you get a lot of materials, you go to the nap-ins and so on, and you get a lot of materials, you lose track after a while of just what is what. But I do know this is Texas flint here, and this is a really nice Clovis, and I was glad to see I still had this one. And I made this one in 2014, and I noticed the flutes are really quite even on this one. This is probably one of my best Clovises that would be very typical, nice and thin, perfect bass, and nice flutes. So that found its way into this case because I just couldn't simply want to part with that one. Then we have a beautiful Flint Ridge, Snyder style, maybe Lost Lake, but it's just a fantastic material. Look at this. And all these points in here are pretty thin, except for one, and I will be getting to that one. The one that we're coming up here is the Mega Harden. Biggest harden I ever made. But before we get to that guy, here's another drill. And I do believe this drill is raw Texas flint. And it came out really super good. I had forgotten about this drill, but the flaking looks good on it. I like that style base, and it really held up well and didn't break, which is always great. This is probably one of the thicker ones. And what this is a Perkiomen style point. It's a big one, and it's made out of Onondaga chert, my local material. And if you look at this, you can see the gray modeling. This is very typical of this material. And one thing about these Perkiomens, they seem to have a base that doesn't typically follow the tip. This one's a little off. But this also could have been my attempt at a Susquehanna, and I said, nah, that looks more Perkiomen. So that's kind of what I went with. Now, here's a really well fluted on one side, I will tell you, because when I looked at this, I forgot if I'd got the other side. And I just had a light little flute here and didn't really want to go for it. Even though this is quite set up for it, I know that I could push another flute here and maybe get more out of it, but I was pretty happy with the shape. And that is some Keokuk. So that piece came out nice, and that's my version of a Folsom style point. That one I really like. Now next to that, I was starting to delve into this rice lobed point style, and I made this one out of hornstone. And this is kind of typical of how the base may have looked. Strongly beveled. As you turn it, you can see the bevels. And I really kind of like that one. That came out quite well. And next to that is a dog leg, Thieves style. I'm looking at this material and I'm not positive. It could be more hornstone, but I'm not going to say for sure on this. This looks like a little different, but that's got a really cool base on it. Look at that. So, very pleased with that. Next to that is, this is oil chert. I think this is what this is. And it's a Jack's Reef. And notice how thin this thing is. Jack's Reef points are found in my area. They're considered woodland, and they were always very thin. Now, what's strange about this is it's in the woodland time frame, and most of our points around here that were woodland are triangular. So the Jack's Reef is kind of a special point. Here is more of a Lost Lake style, nicely, deeply notched from the base up, and that too has got beveling on it. Beveling is something I'm always impressed with. So you'll see I try to do that on a lot of points, and that was typical of the style of that point. That's Keokuk there. Now this is, let's see if I can remember the name of this one. I think I got it from Missouri, one of my buddies there. And I made this Dalton, and it's, oh boy, the name escapes me. I probably should have thought about it more before I started videoing. But this is a really nice Dalton. Super thin, and I got one in here that's even thinner than this. But I like that base. That base just stands right out. Okay, of course there's no case complete without a Snyder's point in it, and this is a big Keokuk Snyder's style point. You're probably getting sick of seeing those. And this one here is one of my first attempts at making a Dixon style point. I don't think it came out too bad. I think I got the shape pretty close to what it should be. I made this with some Texas chert, and I was pretty happy with that. Now we have a couple more Daltons here. This is Novaculite, and Novaculite can be quite translucent when you get into this whitish of Novaculite. And that's pretty much an example of a resharpened, heavily resharpened Dalton style point. This is the Dalton here that I made that is really, really thin. I mean, this thing will blow away in the wind. And it just feels right, it looks right, and probably one of the best Daltons I ever made. Nice and long, and I believe that is some Texas material again. Okay, back with that Dixon style theme. You know, Adina, whatever. This one shows beveling on it. And let's see, I did that in 2013. Flake pattern is really nice on this one. And that was one of my earlier attempts at making these Dixon Adinas. Alright, now we're back to what I normally do. I make hardened points. And this is a piece of Pedernales, raw Pedernales shirt. And boy, is that stuff pretty. Look at that. And it has a pretty decent base on it. Just love the color in this. And it's almost got a light purplish hue to it. So that one's pretty cool. Here's more of a lanceolate type. Maybe an unfluted paleo. I could have easily sent channel flakes on this one, but sometimes I like them just like this. And to me, that was just what I was really after, was something that balanced out real nice like this, came out thin, and had a nice flake pattern. Okay, here's one I remembered as soon as I saw this case. This was a nice dovetail made out of Keokuk. And this stuff is just beautiful. When you get the right piece, it's just phenomenal. Look at that line through the base and along the side. And that's a nice piece because it's a little thicker, not much, but it really has a fantastic dovetail look to it. Okay, as I mentioned before, back in the hardens again. And I think I made this at a flint knapping gathering that was held at John Capolini's house And I remember chipping this thing out of Keokuk, and boy, what a neat harden. So much going on with this material. And it's, once again, like I say, it's Keokuk. And it's got some great bevels on the edges, as you can see there. And that would have been my favorite, except the mother of all hardens is next to it. Now look at this thing. I've never made a harden point this long, but it's a dandy, and it's thin, it's well flaked, and it's got that classic style base for a harden point. Really thrilled with that one. Can you imagine I forgot about this case? I can't believe it. You know, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, and the guys in Missouri, they find all these wonderful Etleys. So this is kind of my first attempt at trying to make an Etley. I suppose it's close, but I've made better ones. And this one was, well, let's see, I made that in 2013. This case is 2013, 2015. But that's my one of my first Etley style points. I never see guys around here making Etleys because, of course, we never see them around here. But yeah, that's what I came up with, and I'll have to live with that one. And last one in the case is another dovetail, and this once again is Novaculite. Look at those flakes. Really, really pretty. And this is one of those darker shades of Novaculite, and it kind of fades from a gray to a whitish color, and I like that. So I wanted to give you a little more this time, and so I thought I'm going to show you a bonus case that I was going to show all by itself, but I think I'll just include it here, and the case is right here. This is my favorite Onondaga case, and if you notice in the middle here, there's a fantastic Susquehanna broad point. This is a dandy of a point, and it's so thin and well made. I made that back in 2004. Can't believe it. And around it are some other types. This is a big Lavana here, Genesee style point, another Susquehanna, Snyder style, Metalwood point, and a Jack's Reef, kind of a corner notch archaic. And oh, we got a loud truck coming down our way here. We have garbage day, big day in cast style, and they're out circling the neighborhood getting all our garbage cleaned up. But that is just a corner notch point, along with another nice Genesee point, and this is a Perkiomen point. Now this is more typical of what they truly looked like. It was that tiny little base, kind of a leaf shape, and that was probably one of the best ones I've made, and that's why it ended up in this special case. Got this case at one of our nap-ins. I've always loved it, and this one hangs on my wall in my man cave, and I thought today's the day to share this one with you. So there we go. That's another look. Another week's gone by, and we've had a chance to look at a couple cases this time, and I hope you're enjoying this series. I sure do enjoy doing these, and that'll be it for this week. And all I could say is, if you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate a sub. Leave me a comment and a thumbs up if you choose, and that'll be all this time, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care and be safe.